Hello and welcome to Not My Workshop. We are actually visiting somebody today and picking 3 little machines up. And we are visiting this guy.
Me, Tobias Hangler.
So today we are at Tobias Hangler's workshop. We are picking up 3 machines that a friend of yours made, Oliver Tobin, and he's gonna show you a little part of his workshop.
So just another confusion that I don't make these machines, it's Oliver Tobin. It's just a complete coincidence that his last name is Tobin and my first name is Tobias. So maybe in the future less people confuse us.
It would be not as confusing if you wouldn't share the same workshop. So today's shop talk, we are visiting Tobias Hangler. He's giving you a little insight of Apex Ultra.
Big business.
And a little shop tour.
Well, welcome to my shop. Martin promised you a little tour, so I'm about to give you the very shortest tour I can give you. We start here at the steel shelf. This is where I pick up my steels. Of course, I only use Apex Ultra because it's the only steel that is worth using for high-end kitchen knives. Yeah, so let's run through a process how we make a knife from a bar of steel. Here we have the first machine. This is just for cutting steel into pieces. We actually bought it just for cutting Apex because we have a few tons delivered every year and we need to cut it to sizes of 1 or 2 kilograms so we can make knives and ship it to other people. Next up we have the forging area. So here we have 2 gas forges. The forging area is pretty big for a knife maker because of 2 reasons. First reason is we give a lot of bladesmithing classes. So we have 6 fully equipped forging spaces, so 6 people can individually work without interfering with each other. So 2 large gas forges and power hammer. We have an induction forge over here that you've maybe seen in other videos, and a large forging press. The forging press already brings me to the next reason why we have a pretty wide workshop, and that is making laminated steels. So I also provide other knife makers with pre-laminated steels, especially with Apex Ultra Core. So for example, having stainless sanmai or Apex Ultra with Damascus cladding or wrought iron or whatever you want. Also copper Damascus and Kumai and stuff like that. So we have a very big gas forge because we need to heat the entire billet all at once before I go to the rolling mill. The rolling mill is one of the most significant pieces in the workshop, and no, I'm not giving it away. This is a very nice equipment because if I have laminated steels, I can start forging it down from 25 millimeters downwards. I can use the rolling mill and I get a very thin or in a very uniform thickness all across the pieces. So after the forging press and the rolling mill make 3 bars of steel into 1, we have a billet that looks like this. For example, this is a stainless sanmai piece. We have also started providing other makers with tapered billets. So that means that we have a starting thickness here of 3 or 4 millimeters, and then we taper the billets down to a thinner spine thickness at the front. That helps many knife makers to get rid of all the grinding that's otherwise necessary to taper the blades. I have a blade blank here that was made out of one of these billets, for example. After that step, I already go to heat treatment, so I heat treat some of these knives at full thickness. Otherwise, I do some pre-grinding on that. Here's the heat treatment facility. So this is the fluidized sandbed that I developed and built over the last time. It uses a special technology to provide a very uniform heat and very fast heating rates. If I don't need that fancy heat treating, I still have an even heat, the classic one, where I can just anneal billets and do all the other work that's necessary. Very handy to have, especially if you make a lot of billets. Now we are in the grinding room. Here we also have set up A lot of belt grinders. We have mostly the Tobin BS1. That is made by Oliver Tobin, who is not Tobias Hangler. Completely different person, different company. Just emphasizing that again. But he makes a fantastic grinder, and we happen to be neighbors in our workshop. So here's pretty much where I do all my grinding. And you probably know the belt grinder and the attachment from some of the other videos. So I use this grinding jig, for example, to do my rough grinds and to grind in the bevels of the knives. If you haven't seen that video, it might be worth checking out. It's a video by UK Blade Show where I explain how to use this grinding jig.
So, Tobias, how did you become a knife maker? What was your starting point in knife making?
Well, I actually started just because I wanted to hit steel and make it hot and quench it in water and do all the fun stuff. And then I made a couple of knives because I wanted to do something useful, and they turned out to be really crappy. Really crappy knives because I didn't know anything.
Classic starter thing, right?
Yeah, I made them out of construction steel because all steel looks the same, so why spend more money on steel when it all looks the same? And yeah, that didn't work out too well, and I quickly realized that that might not be the right path for making a lot of, a good quality knife. To start with a weak material and then put a lot of hours into it and have a knife that doesn't function properly. So yeah, I actually wanted to do I actually wanted to learn to be a blacksmith, but I didn't get the chance to do that, so nobody would have an open position for me. And well, by then I have kind of fallen into the rabbit hole of metallurgy and heat treating, and I found it quite fascinating that with steel you can entirely change all the properties just by heating it up and cooling it down in various different ways at different temperatures and different cooling speeds. So yeah, long story short, I decided to study metallurgy in Leoben.
One of the, in my opinion, hardest universities that there are in like mid-Europe. Like, forget a doctor's degree.
You definitely have to drink a lot of beer in Leoben, and it's not easy, and it takes a long time. So 7 years later I finished my master's degree, and during the entire studies bladesmithing has been kind of my
Financial support?
Yeah, no, not that, no, it's been a hobby, it's been a good hobby, you know, lots of hours, lots of money into it and very little output. So I've enjoyed it, I've enjoyed making it, and it's been a good balancing point, you know, to sitting in front of a desk and studying and putting stuff into your brain. In the forge I could just, you know, have the opposite, just working and turning off the brain every once in a while. And yeah, the fascination never got rid of me, of the making process, as well as just the fascination about steel and heat treatment. So actually I decided after I finished the studies and I worked a little bit to become a full-time knife maker, and here I am now.
So did the university make you wanna like develop Apex Ultra, pretty much the thing that you are worldwide known for? Like the one thing, like everybody in the knife industry, especially when you're working with kitchen knives, everybody knows Apex Ultra because it's one of the highest, even though if the highest kind of steel that you can use for kitchen knives.
In a way I would say it probably made me, because you kind of learn to think at university only about what is the best perfect way of doing something, right? So when you're an entrepreneur or when you're working, you're kind of doing trade-offs all the time. So you're kind of, what is the fastest way to do something or the cheapest way? So your brain is working in a little bit different way, I think, because the steel also needs to grind well, and you know, there's a lot of things that go into a knife and the properties of a steel. But during the university, you're only thinking about how could I make this the best that it could possibly be. And I think that spirit kind of influenced Apex Ultra a lot, because we wanted to achieve the highest that we can with Apex Ultra, and then we found a way how to make it happen in the real world. But for me, it's always, as my first example explains pretty well probably, why spend so many hours to make an expensive knife if you don't value the base material that you're working on, that is going to define all of your properties at the end. So if you spend 20, 30 hours on a knife, or 2 hours on a knife and 15 minutes,
20 minutes.
why not take a steel that's really going to perform well and that makes you happy and that you can be proud of at the end of the day? Because my first knives were probably not that.
Same. Like every
The first 100.
Yeah, I just wanted to say like the first 5, 10, 20, 100.
I mean, it's good. It's good as a craftsman always to develop further and look back on the knife you made yesterday and think, I think I can still do a little bit better.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some knives that you're more ashamed of than others that lay in the past. Yeah, so trying to make the best we can, and Apex Ultra is just that. You know, more homogeneity, just take a little bit more effort and higher quality materials, and find a process and a combination of alloying elements that is really suited for what we do as craftsmen, for high hardness kitchen knives. That was a really cool project, and it still is. It's still going on, and next batch is rolling.
Buy it at my website.
Martin is supplying the material. We've just got news that the 4th batch is on its way. It has been molten and electroslag remolten, which is a process we do for higher homogeneity.
That's one thing that when he first told me about Apex Ultra, I was like, I'm in. Like, tell me how much I need to take, I'm in, I'm totally in. And when he told me all the processes that are needed to do like such a high quality steel like Apex Ultra, like sure you think, yeah, it's going to be in the big oven and then it's going to be melted down and like, but then he told me it's remelted again to make it purer and finer.
Yeah, basically you take an electrode and you melt the tip of it in a bath of slag, and the drops of steel go through the slag and are purified and homogenized. And then they re-solidify at the bottom of it. So that way you don't have segregations. That's typically something that you see as kind of an alloy banding effect in steels, but it also deteriorates the material properties, because any steel is designed for a specific combination of alloying elements, and as soon as these start to mix or to unmix, basically, to segregate, each piece of this steel doesn't have the initial composition anymore, and that's not what you want, because you want the same material all over, because that's what you designed and that's what's going to behave best. Yeah, and it's actually a lot of companies that are involved in making this, because we didn't find one steelwork that could provide this quality and this quantity of steel that we wanted. So we had to pick the different process steps from different companies, and it's still a good amount of work to to make it happen. Even if you think, yeah, just write for quotes and write for orders and it's all done. It's not exactly that. It's a lot of work that goes into the steel behind the scenes, even now that it's already finished its development. And we still try to push the properties. So Martin and I went to Germany just a couple of weeks ago, to find even the last percents that we can squeeze out. How can we change the process? What are processes that we can add or change to keep pushing, to keep making the material better and available.
Yeah, so thank you, Toby, for all the insights and also for the shop tour that you just gave to us. And where can we find you? Where can you, as you just described to us, your nicely pre-laminated steel that we actually use ourselves as well? Like we had this nice collaboration that went live on Eating Tools like a few months ago.
Yeah.
It was a few pretty pieces. And there's going to be one of the knives that we did together. So you made the steel for me and I finished the knife out of it. It's going to be on Modern Cooking as well pretty soon. So where can people find your laminated pieces? How can they contact you?
I work together with Keith from Knifematerial at the moment, so he's selling most of my laminates. But you can also message me direct for any, special pieces that you need, or order directly from me if you need something that's not on the homepage. Best is to write an email to me. Instagram is sometimes a little bit overflowing, but you can find my Instagram at Mastermind Hangler. Yeah, you'll find
Link
it.
in the description.
You'll find it.
Well, thanks, Toby.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you again.
It was nice meeting you. I'm glad you didn't take away my rolling mill. I'm sure you'll find another rolling mill somewhere.
Hopefully. But hey, I've seen outside somebody's looking for you, and somebody outside is looking for you. I think he's go watch that.